am so excited about today's video. Hi everybody, welcome to another video, or if you guys are new here, my name is Arielle, and today I am going to talk to you about the first time I moved out at 19. Also, it is a little bit windy out here. Hopefully it ends up being fine in my video, but it's really nice outside today, so I wanted to record out here. We'll see if it works out. My grandma might wonder who's talking, but it's just me. So as some of you may know, I moved halfway across the country a few weeks ago, but I figured that I should take it back all the way to the first time I moved out, which was last July of 2021. And I was 19 years old. At the time, my fiance and I were only dating, and we hadn't gotten engaged yet or anything, but his oldest sister was buying a house, and so I was supposed to become her roommate if she had a house with multiple bedrooms. And then we found out that she was having a 3-bedroom house, so she could have 2 extra rooms open. So their cousin moved in, and then Michael and I moved in, and Michael's my partner. And so at the time, I don't know, Michael just kept talking to his parents, and then it was just decided that we could move in together. So we both moved in to the house. It was also nice because, and it made it more affordable because our rent was split per room. So we could have this room, since we were sharing the room, we were able to split the cost 50-50. So the interesting part about this situation from my point of view is that I was a complete outsider. These 3 people were family, and they literally, I had been in their life for 2.5, 3-ish years at that point. So I was definitely an outsider, whereas they had known each other for their whole lives because they were family. And so that was definitely something I had to get used to. Was I don't know, I wasn't in on everything. Now, over time, whenever you're with somebody for that long, you kind of learn stories, family stories and stuff, so I kind of felt included, but there were definitely those moments where I felt like I might have been doing something wrong because I wasn't following the family's normal behavior, I guess, because I come from a different family. It did work out in the end, though. It was definitely nice because since Michael knew and trusted these people, and I knew them and trusted these people, I wasn't worried about them stealing my stuff or having some super horror roommate situation, because I knew these people. And so that was definitely super helpful, versus moving in with random people that I had never known before. That was definitely a scary concept to me, and something that I would have probably done if I had to live in my college town. Also, another thing that made rent quite cheap was the fact that it was a house and not an apartment, and it's a leasing situation instead of a renting situation. And the other fact is that we're all family, so it was a lot more family based versus you live here, you must do this and this. It was a lot more flexible and understanding. So what made me be able to afford rent there? Great question. I would love to tell you. I was a nanny, and so it paid me more than enough money to be able to afford rent, utilities, groceries. We did split up utilities evenly among all of us, so that was definitely pricey considering it's 4 people in one house, and there was only one water heater and things like that. It was just a couple of things that made the utility bill a little bit higher, but I would say it definitely all worked out, and having that cheaper rent definitely helped with me and my part-time job while I was going to college. And I worked quite a lot, so I definitely had money so that I was able to save as well, and that's always something that you don't really get as a college student, was being able to Something that you don't normally get as a college student is being able to work and save money while you're in school, and that was something that I was able to do because of the living situation. So long story short, my fiance and I were just really gifted an amazing deal, and we were extremely lucky to be able to take that. But the thing is, even if you don't have that type of situation, I never thought that I would have that type of situation because I'm the oldest child in my family, so that just wasn't happening for me, but it did end up happening for me. So definitely, you never know where your life is going. I always wanted to move out young, but I didn't think that it was plausible, and then it ended up happening. So that's something to just keep in mind. And also, I mean, it probably would not have made a difference if I waited to move, but I'm definitely glad that I went through that. Next, I want to go through some pieces of advice if you do decide to move out, whether it's with family or if it's with random people or if it's with friends or whatever. My biggest piece of advice would be to set clear expectations. The problem with our living situation is that a couple things happen where we thought that we would be able to do something, and then we were told, like, oh no, like, I don't want you doing that, which is fine, but we were told from the very beginning that we could have done something like that, so it was just very confusing, and the boundaries were not clearly stated, and I wish that would have been something that happened, because then we get our hopes up, and then they're shattered, and then we end up upset. So that was something that made our living situation less bearable than what it could have been. It was still fine, it wasn't that big of a deal, but there were just a couple things that I don't know, that happened that we did not expect to happen. Also, as far as paying rent goes, keep consistent hours or at least a consistent income with whatever career that you have. Like, even if you were to do DoorDash where you get to set your own hours, make sure you're at least like being like, okay, I have to make this amount of money each week. So if you're paying like $600 in rent, you probably want to make at least like $300 each week, and so that's just your consistent, like, I need to have this consistent income, how many hours do I need to work to be able to make this, and just planning out your time. Even though you don't have specific hours, for me, I did have specific hours, but I could add or subtract as needed, which was nice for me. But it's something that's like, I ended up cutting my hours at a certain point, and so I had to realize like my income's not going to be as large, so then I had to kind of balance my new income with all of my expenses and how I need to save and what I need to give up because I don't have as much money. The biggest thing is to be flexible and know that this living situation will not be the same as your old living situation. That's something that I struggled with. I think that going in, I had a lot of expectations where it's like, this is going to be perfect, my parents aren't here to watch my every move, like, this is going to be great. But then I realized, like, there's no living situation that's ever going to be perfect with other people. Now, like, I mean, if you're on your own, obviously you can do what you want. It's probably perfect, other than not having people to socialize 24/7. But yeah, just realize that there's never gonna be a perfect living situation when you're with roommates. So don't expect things to be all glitter and rainbows, and that everything's gonna work out now that you're moving out of your past living situation. And just don't have the expectations, like the highest expectations there are. If anything, I would start with low expectations, and then you'll get blown away with how great it is. The next piece of advice that I want to give you guys is something that you may not need to take into consideration right now, but I think that it will help everybody in the end. If you're moving in with a partner or moving in with somebody in the same room, just remember, and specifically a partner, I'm going to focus on a partner because it was the first time I was moving in with a partner. And it's really hard to live with somebody, especially in the same room every single day. It's really, really difficult, and there were a lot of conversations Michael and I had to talk about and kind of be like, okay, let's do this so that this doesn't happen again. And communication is key with that kind of thing. It's very, very hard to cohabitate with people, especially whenever you're not used to them. It's different with your family. You've been there your whole life. You've learned how to cohabitate with your family. But you haven't learned how to cohabitate with roommates and other people unless you were in that situation. So first time is definitely difficult, and Michael and I really had to sit down and be like, okay, this is not going to happen again because we are going to do this to make sure that it doesn't. And there was a lot of communication that had to happen there. So I would definitely just be prepared for that if you are moving in with somebody, if you're going into a dorm, or if you're going into an apartment with somebody, if you're moving in with your partner. That's something, it's really hard. I feel like one of those things that makes or breaks your relationship is whether or not you can live in the same space and not fight all the time. And Michael and I used to just bicker over meaningless things because we were just defying the other person's norms. I didn't realize that Michael didn't do this thing that I actually do, and Michael didn't realize that I don't do this thing that he is used to doing all the time. So that's something that we had to talk about and be like, okay, like, how were you raised versus how was I raised, kind of thing. That is something that would be a really good conversation to sit down and have before you make the decision to move in together. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you guys were able to take something out of it. On Wednesday, I am going to be posting how I graduated college at 18 and how you can too, so definitely stay tuned for that one, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye!